everyone. Welcome to Industry Interviews with Sissa Strain. The Commercial Dance Intensive is so excited today to interview Carisa Rose.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too, love. Where are you joining us from today?
So I am at my house, just upstairs, getting cozy on the couch. I've been bunkering down a lot just at my house and yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carisa, are you ready to get started with your industry interview questions?
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to chat with you today. Would you like to start us off with your background and a brief review of where you're from, where you are now, and everything in between?
Sure. So I had, the standard start of dance. At the age of 3, I did ballet, tap, and jazz, and kind of moved through that more recreationally until I had more of a focus in ballet once I got to 5th grade and kind of tried to go that route for a while. But we started out in San Diego. That's where I was born and spent most of my elementary school days. And then we'd spent 1 year in Kentucky and then eventually moved to North Carolina, where I, again, just focused on ballet. But then I got to 8th grade and joined the cheerleading team, which was kind of like way out of my realm, but I was here for it. And I just really enjoyed being a part of the school. I really just got attached to that camaraderie. So when I got to high school, I still focused on, the normal traditional training, but then got involved in dance team. So I did that, was captain of that squad, my upper years as an upperclassman, I guess, of high school. And then I went on to App State. And I didn't do dance team my freshman year. I actually joined my sophomore year and then was captain my junior and senior year. And just, I loved it. I wasn't ready to let it go. And so then I went on to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader in Texas and did that for a couple of years and then stayed down there an extra year. So I was in Texas for 3 years and kind of jump-started my teaching career down there, and then came back and got married. And now I'm just kind of doing all the things, master classes and choreography and teaching at conventions. And obviously I joined the Commercial Dance Intensive faculty, which has been like so fun. So that's kind of my background to get started.
That's amazing. We are so happy to have you as part of the core faculty of the Commercial Dance Intensive. You bring so much wisdom and positivity and obviously talent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You booked your first big job, which I'm assuming is DCC.
Yep, it was. So that is kind of a funny story that I think a lot of people are a little shocked about. I didn't grow up thinking that that is the route I wanted to go on with my dance journey. I actually was not for it at all. I really thought I would be sticking to a more traditional route of maybe join a contemporary company or something along those aspects. So it got down to my senior year of college and I actually started to develop a lot of performance anxiety. And so I stopped enjoying the performance aspect. I loved rehearsals. I loved class. I loved everything that went into that. So I knew that maybe my performance career was not going to be the focus. So of course, when I told my parents that I did not want to dance professionally my senior year of college after they'd invested all this money, my whole life training me, they kind of were like, no, like you do one thing, just so you have the experience and go from there, which so glad they did. Because at first I thought they didn't know what they were talking about, but it ended up being the best thing ever. So anyway, so I was trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I was looking up different dance companies I wanted to join and nothing was really sticking with me. So the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show was on and I tuned in and I was like, I think I could do that. I think I'm going to try that. That's literally the TV show. And I mean, I'd watched like a couple episodes, but it was like one of the marathon days. And I was like, I love dance team. I can do this. I've been doing dance team. I got this. So, I called my mom and this is, tryouts are in May, the beginning of May. And this was March, maybe the end of February, but I really want to say March. So I'm already like behind because most people prepare for years. So I told my mom I wanted to do it and she's like, sure, great. Just glad you're going to do something. Like, let's figure it out. I did that application while I was finishing up my senior year of college. The first round, I think it has one of the most intense audition processes like in the whole world. It's just intense. So I flew down there in between exams to do the first 2 rounds, which is like improv. And then the next round, you learn the choreography, made it through that, came back, finished my exams, had to choreograph a solo, study for the test and all of that, went down for my 3rd round. And then I made it into training camp. So I had 2 weeks to move to Texas. Wasn't prepared for that. It's fine. Didn't have a place to live. It's fine. But I made a friend at the 3rd round and she was like, you can stay with me. So she was great. And so yeah, I packed it up and my dad just took me down there. We drove. So I had a car and then I was in training camp for 2.5 months. It was the longest training camp they've ever had. Of course, it was my rookie year, which is, it's all good now. I'm kind of proud I made it through for so long. And then, you know, every day was just, you didn't know if you were going to get cut. You didn't know like what they were looking for. And they tell you to just not even guess, like, just, you don't know what we're thinking. Just you do you and we'll do us and, you know, all of that. And so I found out I made the team at the last training camp practice in the middle of August. And then we went right into the first season. So, I mean, that's how I booked my first job. I was 21 years old going into 22. Yeah. And it was a 3-month process, but I got booked. So we're here.
Now, was that filmed as well?
Yes. So the show, and I, especially during that period of my life, I was very camera shy. So that was just like another wrench thrown into the puzzle. And I had to get over that really quickly because they were just always there. I mean, I missed my first flight home after the first 2 rounds because they were still interviewing me. I was like, I really got to go catch my flight. So it was a lot. And then that season 2 with the show, it was the one season they've gone farther into it. Usually it stops after the first game, and they went all the way through October to do the first several games and breast cancer awareness halftime. And, you know, us pulling in real cheerleaders so we can stunt and all of that. So it was, I mean, we were with the cameras for over 6 months. And so
in your first year too.
My first year. Yeah. And it just kind of was one of those things that it sounds like really, I mean, it's a little aggressive, but this is kind of how I imagine it going, is it was so surreal. It's almost like, you know, you're driving and you like kind of miss something, like you may have blown through a stop sign or going through a light, or you made a left turn that was a little too close, and you have that like feeling like, oh my gosh, I just did that, but I'm here. Like, yeah. It was like that. Like, it just felt so surreal the whole time. Like, I was present in the moment and I was going through it, but it was kind of one of those, like, I turned around and I was like, oh, okay, I did that. Okay, we're here and we're settled. So it was just, the whole thing was just surreal, like having all the camera crews and interviews and trying to learn 45 dances in the summer and then not knowing if you're going to get cut. And yeah, but it was incredible. And I just have, you know, more respect for myself that I got through it and got on the other side. So
I feel like that process must take a lot of mental focus and just intense dedication to your craft and to being present and being your best self all the time. Like, you're on all the time, right?
All the time. I mean, that's one of the rules, is you don't even go to the grocery store without full hair and makeup, and watch how you talk to people, which you should do anyway. But like, no bad days, you know, because that's their brand and they're known as America's sweethearts. And it was really tough, not only just having dances thrown at you every day that are similar but different, and they could ask for whatever dance they want. Like, it could have been the first day of training camp and they're like, hey, can you do Thunderstruck? But you're like, but that was dance 1 and we're on dance 43, and I don't know. So that too, and just the mental toughness of knowing that I don't think they were ever mean. They were just very blunt and just gave it to you like it was, and you just had to kind of take that and do something with it. And also knowing that, be careful of what you say, be careful of the way your body is moving, because there are cameras around and you don't want to come off a different way than you really are to national television. So it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was amazing. And it definitely just shaped who I am. And, you know, the camaraderie that I had on that team, I think that was like my saving grace. Like, I got, you know, taken under by one of the veteran girls, and she really, I mean, I credit her to a lot of the change I made just as a dancer, because she gave it to me straight. Like, I was very timid. I was very soft with my movement, and she could see that. And that was the feedback I was getting from them, is like, you know, you're great. You look really pretty. You're a really pretty dancer, but we need more. We need power. We need, you know, and I'm just like, I don't understand. You said I look pretty. Is that good? And they just kept saying, like, you almost look too perfect. And I didn't understand it until this veteran took me under her wing, and she was like, you got to do it. Like, you have to really put yourself out there and not stay in this safe little bubble. That's why you look perfect, is because you're not even allowing yourself to basically expand through your movements and be, you know, take that risk. And that's where the entertainment factor is. And I just said, well, I don't think that's me. And she was like, well, I guess you don't want to make the team, and walked away. And I was shook. Like, I was just, no one had ever said that. You know, you kind of get the, oh, okay, Carissa, like, you know, just like, oh, all right. She didn't, you know, and she just was like, do it or don't. Like, do it.
Talk about tough love.
And I needed it so much, and it just lit a fire under me. And I credit her to a lot of that, because she said it in a way that I really needed. But and that kind of helped me progress with the team. So I feel like I owe her like a little piece of my success for the opportunities I had with them, because I don't think I would have had them if it wasn't for her telling me that, and just saying, like, no one's gonna hold your hand. Like, there's other girls here that will do it, you know. So.
You know, I didn't know you before you were on DCC, and I think of you as a person. You're sweet, you're kind, you're beautiful, but you also have like such a spunk and a fire to you that just catches you off guard. Sometimes, like, you'll say something and I'm like, and do you feel that came from committing to being full out, or being
Totally unafraid
to say what you really think in a nice way?
Yeah, no, it's so true. Because even when I moved back to North Carolina after I was done with that journey, I started working for the studio I trained at back home. And I remember, I'll never forget it, because I was in the office with them, and I was just, you know, being myself, like, you know, myself, where I'm like, can be really funny and sarcastic and kind of loud and just fly off the handle a little bit. And they were like, I don't know this, Carissa. Like, you were always so quiet in class and just kind of smiled and nodded and didn't really speak up. And I wouldn't even say I was really like that as a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I think I started to mold into that. And I think it started in my dancing first, before I really was like, hey, like, I don't have to kind of compress myself or tone myself down. Like, I do have this personality that not only my family can see, you know, I can share that with people. And I do think the cameras help, just because I started to learn how to communicate my feelings without trying to like keep it closed in. So yeah, that was definitely an involvement that happened later. I definitely was very quiet, very timid in high school, unless you were my family member, like a really close friend. That's when they got to see that. But I've been a little bit more open about it. And I think too, with teaching, I realized that doesn't do them any good to see this timid teacher and be like, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. You know, like they need that energy, you know, it comes from the teacher. So I think all of that helped. That definitely came later. And I would definitely say it came from ugly cry. Yes, actually. Oh yeah. That was like, you know, it's all out there. So I'll bring that up. So, Casey knows this story really well. So my first rookie season, talking about trying to keep composure and be poised at all times. This was right after that fire kind of got lit under me, as far as like how I was attacking movements. And so, of course, that next practice where it kind of clicked was right when they were doing tryouts for this show group, which is like the select group on the team that gets to travel and do all the really cool stuff, like go to China, go to Europe, go to all the things. So I opted up to not try out. Shocker, timid me, and didn't try out for that, even though I was already there. And people, and like, that wasn't what you did. Like, everyone just said yes. And then if they didn't pick you, it didn't hurt you. It didn't penalize you in any way. But I said no. And so that first practice is when they kind of were like, whoa, she's like getting it, you know? And so I had a really good practice, got good feedback the whole time. I was like, yes, I'm doing it. this is it. And then they called me in the office. And if you've seen the show, the office is just like a dreadful place because you just never know what you're going to get. So anyway, so now I have like all these mixed emotions. Like, I'm like, did I do it too much? Like, what's going on? And so they call me in. And so I'm just, you know, preparing for the worst, that they're like, you know, this isn't going to be it for you this year or whatever. And they're like, well, why don't you try out for show group? We really wanted you to try out for show group. We think you would be a good pick. And I just hysterically started sobbing because I was like, what? Like, you wanted me for this elite group and I didn't do it. And I thought you were sending me home. And then, of course, if you talk about my family, I literally, emotional roller coaster, like, well, and then they started bringing up my family. And so, of course, I'm like, you know, just asking questions like, what's your family dynamic? Like, you know, and of course, we were talking about the financial strain that it is to move out of, you know, college and move to a different state. You need to get a job and all of that. And so I'm talking about that. And I'm like, you know, I have 2 younger brothers. My parents are taking care of them. Like, this is my responsibility. Just sobbing. Like, I mean, they had to take a camera break. It was bad. Like, they were like, Kelly was like, we need 5. We need 5. And it was like, I just can't do it. Like, just hysterical. And so I think after that moment, I was like, well, you know, they've seen me at my worst at this point.
They meaning the world.
The world. So I think that also kind of was like, I mean,
it's freeing in a way.
It's still one of my like terrifying, it's cringeworthy. I mean, even now, that was forever ago. That was in 2012, and students will find it on the fabulous YouTube and send it to me, and it still irks me, you know, like, it makes me so uncomfortable. Because I know how I felt in that moment. I mean, I couldn't even watch that episode for probably 3 years because I cried every time I saw it. I mean, I'm past it, but still, I mean, like, it was my most vulnerable moment I've ever had, and it happened to be like on national TV, so it's fine. But we're here, and I've grown from it, and so yeah.
I think it's a special experience.
Definitely special. Definitely special. I will have that forever.
Absolutely.
And ever.
Okay, are you ready for your, Robbie says, so glad YouTube wasn't around when I was younger.
Right? I mean, like, it's a blessing and a curse for sure. I mean, oh well, it's there. Yeah. It's
okay,
there.
So for our next industry question, Carisa, what is something in your career that has surprised you?
Oh gosh, everything. Like, everything is a surprise. I think I mean, my life did not turn out how I imagined it. And I realized as I got older, it's because I didn't really have big enough dreams for myself, apparently, because my career is by far way past the expectations I had for it. Like, even in college, after the reason why I did DCC is because, okay, yeah, I love dance teams. This is another opportunity for me to carry this on. And then looking past DCC, I was like, I really want to be a college dance team coach. That is like, that's going to be my thing. I'm going to find a school and I'm going to be there forever. And that's going to be it. Like, I will be so satisfied in that. And that's the one thing I haven't done is join to be a head coach anywhere at a university. And I got opportunities that I always admired. Like, for example, I always growing up and even as a teacher, I was like, man, that is the life to be a convention teacher. Like, I would love that, but I just never thought that would happen for me. And then I get asked the first year I'm back in North Carolina to join a faculty of a dance convention that was starting, and I'm still with them, and it's 5 years down the road. Doing master classes just in general, I was like, no one's gonna ask me to do a master class. That's one of the best things. You know, and then just even being on the other side or choreographing for college dance teams or being on faculty for a summer intensive like CDI. These just were all things that I just couldn't even wrap my head around, that I always admired, but never thought the opportunity would be handed to me. And so, yeah, I think I'm like, well, did I just like not have like a lot of like creativity when I pictured my life? Because I just had this one tunnel vision. And so it was just like the biggest blessing that I met the right people at the right time and they believed in me. And I had DCC, I had that name behind me to give me that. So yeah, I mean, everything has been a surprise, everything. And I'm so grateful for it because things that were just kind of like a fluttering thought just
Mm-hmm.
became my reality, and I've gotten to hold on to them. So
Robbie says any university would be lucky to have you.
Robbie, thank
100%.
you.
Keep putting
Thank
it out in the
you.
universe, Carissa.
Yes. Well, that's the funny thing is I do think it would be a great opportunity, but I think I've opened my horizons to that doesn't have to be the end all be all where I'm
Mm-hmm.
there for 15 years. Like I would love the opportunity to do it for maybe, a couple years or whatever, but if I had to pick between my career and what it is right now or doing a college career dance team position, I would pick my life right now over it. So it's just kind of been a blessing in disguise. And, I've gotten to keep that collegiate dance team experience in my life, but it doesn't have to be the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I just am super grateful that kind of took a hard left and we went in a different direction. So
Sometimes the world knows better than we do.
absolutely. I've never agreed more with that. It's crazy.
Okay, so our next industry question. You ready?
Yes.
What is one style or skill you wish that you had trained in before you became a professional?
Oh, definitely acro.
Mm.
Definitely acro. Because I just didn't realize how big of a thing it was gonna be then, when I was training in high school and, college and stuff like that. I just never even could have imagined how big that could have become. And not only just like so that I would have been able to do it, more so that as I'm kind of trying to grow as a choreographer, I wouldn't be so scared, like I can't get my brain to work in that way, especially upside down, because that really scares me now, especially the older I get. I think that would help with like my movement creativity a lot more. I think too, I think I wish I would have taken hip hop a little bit more seriously.
Mm.
And when I say I think, I know I should have done that. But I was just like in that tunnel vision of, oh, I'm gonna join a contemporary company and we're good with that. I'm not gonna need hip hop. And then hip
Mm.
hop is like one of the bases for DCC. Whoops. But so those are like the two things. I think acro more so for like the creativity and trying to explore that a little bit more and all of that, and then
Mm.
hip hop just for my own personal benefit with the actual professional performance I did. So yeah, those would be my two.
Amazing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
our next question. If you could go back in time and give advice to your 15-year-old self, what would you say and why?
Oh, that one's easy for me. And it kind of goes along the same lines that we started with. I would definitely tell her, like, you cannot gain, you have nothing to gain from holding back. So if you just like, I just had this, I just try to be perfect the whole time. I was
Mm.
so safe with everything I did. And I just was so scared to make mistakes, like to the point where I would just really make up a new dialogue in my head. And even with teachers, like I'd come out of a ballet class crying in the car and be like, I just failed today. I just failed. It wasn't good. So not only from a technical aspect, I feel like I wish I had stressed to myself, like, this is class. Like this is where you make mistakes and this is where you grow, is in those mistakes. And I just would not give myself any grace with that at all.
Mm.
As a technical dancer, but also just as a mover. Like I just limited myself so much about how I was performing, how I was executing things. I just stayed there. And it's one of the things that as I started to evolve after DCC, I have a really hard time watching my old footage of me growing up because I'm like, man, there was such a spark in there and I just didn't let it explode. And why? And I think that is one thing I really kind of regret not realizing, that is that I didn't have to be perfect in class. I think teachers would get frustrated at me because they saw that in me and they couldn't get me to push. And I experience that now as a teacher. And that's one of the things I stress. I'm like, I'd rather you make a complete idiot out of yourself in here, fall on your face. I will never, ever have any judgment to pass on you. I will only try and push you to like go there. And that's one thing I try and stress because I see kids struggle with it all the time and I struggled with it. And I would love to see okay, if I evolved this much doing DCC, how would it have been if I would have pushed myself like that then? Like, where would I have progressed?
Right.
So that is definitely, and just showing yourself grace in class, like that is the time to explore and make those mistakes, and then see what's working and what's not, and really try and find yourself as an artist.
I think that's so wonderful. I love that. I feel like
Thank
I need
you.
to write it down and listen to it every day.
Oh, thanks, thanks. I have to mantra myself on that too, just as an adult.
Okay, so this next question is from Casey's favorite podcast called How I Built This.
Okay.
For your success, what do you feel is percentage of luck and what percentage is based in talent and skill?
I think, ooh, I would say I would give it a 75-25. 75% preparedness, skill, talent, all of that. And then 25% is luck, being in the right place at the right time, being the right look, because you can't be successful without the other. But it's so important to stress the preparedness and the training and molding your craft so that if that opportunity arises and it is the right time for you, that you can grab it. Because let's say you're trying out for the Rockettes and you are the perfect height. They need a brunette. You have the look, you have the body, you have all the things. And if you don't have the technique to go along with it, or you're not familiar of their style, you're still not going to get booked. So that's the uncontrollable variable that you have. But I would definitely say a 75-25 split for sure. It's always better to just, know that you gave it your all, know that you came in prepared with all the things, with all the training that you need. And then if they're like, hey, you're just too tall, you're blonde or whatever, and you don't get booked, or hey, actually no, this person, I've worked with her before, that those are things out of your control, and you'll be able to sleep at night versus showing up and feeling frazzled because you don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely. Doing the work in advance is so important. I love, there's a quote that Gia always told me: what is meant for you will not pass you by, but you have to be ready for it when it shows up.
Yes, I'm so here for that. So I couldn't have said it any better, but it's so true. I mean,
Instagram says, yes, shine your light, girl. You both are blessed indeed. Grace is key. Love that.
ooh, I love that too.
Love it. So, Carissa, do you have any advice for dancers who are home right now during this time?
Yeah, I would say don't stop training, first of all. I think it's really easy. And I find myself kind of getting in that boat too, where, we get in this routine, I'm teaching, and, like then the weekend hits, I'm like, I just want to like lay here and not do anything. And I mean, that's the time too, to like hone your craft and get up and do something, even if it's only for 30 minutes. I would say, kind of along the lines of what has been a weakness of mine growing up is, if you are struggling to put yourself out there, this is the time to do it. You're in the privacy of your own home. I've been stressing that in a lot of the classes I've been taking. If you are so nervous of people watching and judging you, you are home by yourself. This is the time to kind of fine tune that craft that you're so worried about sharing with people, so that when you do get back in the studio, you're able to share that. So if this is the time, I would say, for everyone who's trying out virtually right now, I know DCC tryouts are in full swing right now virtually. A lot of schools, a lot of dance teams.
Really?
Yes. So they're doing virtual online tryouts right now. So all you do is send in a 1-minute solo video. And so if you've ever thought about doing something, if it's ever crossed your mind, you literally, I mean, I've been telling the girls I've been working with, for getting prepared for this is the time. You have nothing to lose. You are putting $0 into it, unless you're like, doing private lessons or whatever, hire choreographer. I mean, technically it's $0 as far as putting yourself out there. You're not investing in a plane ticket, hotel. No, they said you don't even have to have a costume this year. Like, it's just, it is the perfect opportunity to just put yourself out there and see if that is the right fit for you, or how far you can even make it without having to take that leap, really. So I just would like to reinforce, like, if this is resonating with you, just do it. You have nothing to lose. You don't have to tell anybody. You can do it in the privacy of your home. You don't have to tell a single soul. There's literally no better time to like put yourself out there, training or trying to get booked for a job than right now. And I just really hope you do it. And I'm here for you always.
Yeah. I love your perspective that the situation we're in is more of an opportunity in this moment, the way that you are speaking of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carisa, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for joining us today for industry interviews. We love having you on the Commercial Dance Intensive, and we hope that you have a fabulous day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mwah.
Yeah. I'm Carisa Wilson. Are you ready to work?